Hello and welcome. It's good to have you with us on this Sunday evening's edition of Arirang News. I'm Daniel Choy. Let's start off with the latest on the MERS situation here in Korea. 3 new cases have been confirmed today. However, there were no new fatalities. This comes amid mounting signs that the spread of the virus may be slowing down. Our Connie Kim starts us off.
2 of 3 new MERS cases confirmed on Sunday were medical workers who had close contact with infected patients. The health ministry said one was an X-ray technician, while the other was a treating doctor. The third person diagnosed today had visited the same emergency room that treated another MERS patient earlier this month. Although the daily number of new cases has steadily declined over the past week, health officials still have major concerns. 2 of the infections were from Samsung Medical Center and Gyeonggi University Hospital in Gangdong, hospitals which the government has been closely working with to contain the disease. The other confirmed case was from Konkuk University Medical Center, one of the 7 hospitals health officials labeled as a facility where the virus was under control. These additional cases bring the total tally of infected patients to 169. More than 4,000 people still remain under quarantine. And since the first outbreak was reported on May 20th, 25 people have died, while 43 have made full recoveries. Amid this, authorities have begun discussing the criteria to call an end to this outbreak. The health ministry said last week that in order to say the disease has finally stopped spreading, there would have to be no new MERS cases for 28 days, which is twice the incubation period of the virus. As for a more positive take on this ongoing battle, 2/3 of the MERS patients that were exposed at Pyeongtaek St. Mary's Hospital, where the country's first MERS patient was confirmed, have fully recovered and returned home. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
In other news, going into nearly 2 months without significant rainfall, Gangwon-do Island, located in Korea's northwest, has been one of the hardest hit by the current drought affecting the country. President Park Geun-hye visited the area on Sunday, surveying local farms and a reservoir under emergency supplies. While there, she called on civilians, the military, and the government to cooperate and find ways to overcome the drought. She also asked for response measures to be drawn up to handle the effects of climate change and unusual weather, which have been occurring more frequently in recent years. The government funneled in more than $38 million to provide emergency support and water to drought-stricken regions. President Park Geun-hye tapped Kim Hyun-woong, the chief prosecutor of the Seoul High Prosecutor's Office, as the new justice minister. The presidential office said Kim's administrative and judicial experience as a prosecutor and leadership are expected to help the nominee lead the government's campaign to root out corruption in Korean society. Interesting to note is that the nominee is junior to Prosecutor General Kim Jin-tae. It is unusual considering the justice minister sits in a position to give orders to the prosecutor general. The minister nominee will need to go through a parliamentary hearing before he is officially appointed. Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se is in Tokyo on this Sunday to hold talks with Japanese officials. This as part of ongoing efforts to resolve historical issues between the 2 countries. Our Kim Yeon-bin gives us the details.
Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se's 2-day visit to Tokyo comes on the eve of the 50th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic ties between Korea and Japan. Ahead of this, he and Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida met to exchange views on bilateral relations, as well as North Korea and other regional and global security issues. The 2 ministers were also expected to discuss Japan's sexual enslavement of tens of thousands of Korean women for its Imperial Army before and during World War II. Last week, President Park Geun-hye addressed this long-running issue. While speaking to the Washington Post, she said that the 2 countries have made considerable progress in negotiations over Japan's formal apology and reparations for its wartime wrongs, adding that they are in the final stages of talks. On Monday, Yoon is scheduled to pay a visit to Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and possibly deliver a message from President Park. Abe will send his own special envoy, Fukushiro Dukaga, to Korea on Monday to attend the 50th anniversary ceremony to be held at the Japanese embassy in Seoul. Meanwhile, diplomatic sources say Abe can make an appearance at the anniversary ceremony in Tokyo. However, no final word on that has been made. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
The Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights is scheduled to open on Tuesday a new branch in Seoul to better monitor the situation in North Korea. The office is expected to take on the role of connecting human rights civic groups in the North with the international community under the UN. Ahead of this, the new Seoul office opened up its Twitter and Facebook page last week and began communicating with the public both in and outside of the country. However, when the office officially opens, relations between the two Koreas are expected to worsen. Late last month, North Korea said it will mercilessly punish Seoul for the opening of the UN office. The wage increase issue is still unresolved over at the Kaesong Joint Industrial Complex, with North Korea still expecting the pay hike they demanded earlier this year, and South Korea rejecting it. Pyongyang demanded Seoul raise its workers' wages to $74 from $70.35. The nearly 5.2% hike violates what was initially agreed upon, which is a maximum 5% hike from the previous year's amount. With little progress in talks to settle the dispute, the regime was stuck with receiving the same pay with no increase at all for 3 months now. As the joint complex is seen as a beacon of hope for improved inter-Korean ties, until the matter is settled, it is unlikely we will see positive developments in other areas of cooperation between the two Koreas. Backlending to households and businesses in South Korea has been rising fast over the past year, while interest rates remain persistently low. On Sunday, the Bank of Korea said outstanding bank loans to household and corporate borrowers came to 1,302.4 trillion won, or around $1.19 trillion as of last Monday. That's up more than $90 billion from August of last year. Analysts attributed the surging debt to the central bank's aggressive monetary easing policies designed to help prevent Korea from losing growth momentum. Most recently, the BOK cut the benchmark interest rate to a record low of 1.5% to counter the fallout of the MERS outbreak. To counter negative effects, the government has decided to come up with measures next month to effectively control rising household debt. On Friday, it became official. Gori-1, Korea's oldest nuclear reactor, will be shut down. The decision was not an easy one, with the reactor having received the green light to keep on going for at least 2 more years. But Korea has no time to get sentimental about having to let go of the light water reactor that faithfully powered the nation for 37 years now, as they need to focus on the next phase, permanent closure. Cooling down and dismantling the reactor could take more than 15 years. Korea will inject around $135 million for the research and development of 17 key dismantling technologies necessary for the process. The Ministry of Science, ICT and Future Planning will spearhead the project, with 2021 set as the deadline. Once again, the Greek government is working to revise its proposal for economic reforms. According to the Wall Street Journal, government officials are putting together a plan they hope will achieve the budget targets that bailout creditors want, while relying more on eliminating tax breaks and less on pension cuts than the lender's own proposal. The Greek cabinet is due to discuss the plan early Sunday, and on Monday they will meet with the European Commission, the IMF, and the ECB. All previous proposals for reforms from Greece have been rejected, but they are pinning their hopes on this latest revision to help them finally strike a deal with creditors. Well, you might have seen robots in science fiction movies that imitate human movements in real time. And now a group of researchers in Korea have developed a system which makes that possible, narrowing the gap between virtual space and the real world. Our Park Se-young has this story.
When you wave your hand in the air, the screen moves with it. Clenching and releasing your fist lets you zoom in and out of maps, and a robotic arm imitates your movements in real time. This may sound like a scene out of a science fiction movie, but it's become reality thanks to this device that resembles an armband. A group of scientists from the Korea Institute of Science and Technology created a surface EMG system that detects movements of the hand and fingers through the forearm muscles. Muscles contract before moving. The new system sensors predict those movements in advance using the electric signals of the muscles. The system's inertial sensors track the arm's motion, making it possible for the user to operate the robotic arm in real time.
Assessing the intentions of the movement too late causes a delay, which is problematic when trying to detect signals in real time. The new technology processes the action beforehand through the electric signals.
The technology, which was introduced earlier this month, can also be applied to the shoulder and legs by detecting signals from other parts of the body. The research team plans to commercialize the system later this year to target the healthcare and office equipment industry. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, the weather. Well, there were some refreshing showers over the weekend, but not nearly enough to counter the drought in Korea. Unfortunately, the dry spell will return on Monday with relatively clear skies in most parts of the country. Seoul will start the day at 19 degrees Celsius. The mercury will rise to similar levels in most parts, with Baekneungdo Island and Ulleungdo Island being a cooler 16. And now let's check out the weather conditions outside of Korea, around the world. That does it for us. Thank you for watching. Do join us at 10 p.m. Korea time for more.